As an AD carry player, I don't necessarily think the role of AD carry is weak. I think the role of AD carry is a bit more on a diet. What I'm going to do in this video is explain what I mean by that term, revisit the preseason marksman update changes, and visit the whole Infinity Edge versus Essence Reaver debate that's going on. So first and foremost, when I say that the role is on a diet, I just think it means that the role got thinner. The pool isn't as wide as it used to be, and what used to be viable multiple times throughout a season, even if it was an S tier pick, just isn't looked at as good anymore. What I mean by that is, during the marksman preseason update, a lot of AD carries that were in the bot lane got changed to a point they saw better fit in other roles that they no longer see play in the bot lane. So, because I just messed that up, let me clarify. There are certain AD carries that now are suited better in other roles than in the bot lane, so they kind of left the pool of bot lane only AD carries. Like, when I say AD carry, I mainly mean marksmen that aren't going to go anywhere but the bot lane. You're not going to see like Jinx mid, Kalista top, stuff like that. And in this update, we had those kind of champions which stayed in the bot lane. We had champions that you can flex between like mid and bot, but probably see more play mid than bot. And then you had the marksman that just completely left the lane, so the pool got thinner, it got smaller. But why I don't think the role is necessarily weak is because the top tier champions like the Lucians, the Ezreal, the Caitlyn's, they're still very powerful and they're still good picks. Even if they're like the only picks, and that's why part of why I think the reason why the role is looked at as weak is because if only 3 picks out of, let's say, like 18 are good, then what does that say for the rest of the role? And I'll explain. Infinity Edge, for example, AD carries aren't necessarily weak, they just take longer to scale, so why bother playing them? And they might be more risky because they have lower mobility, so if they don't have flash, that's really not a very good AD carry to play, especially at first in Season 6 when it's a burst heavy meta. Now we're more in a carry top meta, like Aurelias and stuff that you don't really want to play, like a Jinx into. So instead you see a lot of utility AD carries get played instead, so you're more of a damaging support if anything, because all you're doing is setting up engage for the top lane and mid lane to carry, and you're still not really even carrying, even though you're the one with carry in your name, right? So that's also why some people think, oh, the role must be weak because we're having to play utility and stuff like that. When if you read the meta, it's really just more about top lane carries being really powerful right now, and if you want to win, you gotta abuse that. You gotta play your role correctly. Furthermore, Essence Reaver AD carries and the more burst heavy caster AD carries used to fall off against tanks even in Season 5, and that's when you saw the auto attack AD carries come in because they could shred tanks, they were tank killers. You don't see that this year even when tanks have started coming in or are already in a little bit, because those Essence Reaver AD carries can now sling their spells consistently and constantly that they can eventually kill those tanks way easier than they could before. Their burst might not be enough, but they can have cooldown enough that they can just keep bursting a tank. You don't need the auto-attacking AD carries anymore. What you need them for is no longer necessary unless you're a main and you just want to play that champion, so they're looked at as weak because their necessity is no longer there. So the pool got smaller, a good chunk of them's necessity is no longer there, and we're also in a more utility-focused meta when it comes to the bot lane because we want to empower the other roles to be able to carry. So when you factor all that in, I think that's why the idea that the role is weak even exists, and why personally I don't think the role is weak off of that alone, because I think the top tier AD carry picks are still strong. But as a unit, as a whole, like as a family, I can understand though why that opinion exists. So that's all for this video from me, and what I'm going to do is present you a question, ask you a question. What is your opinion on the AD carry role right now? And with the Infinity Edge buffs that came in recently, with Lulu getting the attack speed on Whimsy for more auto-attacking AD carries might benefit from that, do you think that something will change? Do you think the necessity for them to come back will eventually be, prominent? Do you think Essence Reaver AD carries are even part of the problem because the way Essence Reaver works right now? Do you think the marksman change was even a good idea now looking back at it? Things like that. Your opinion, open discussion. What do you think? So that's all for this video from me. Life is full without a king, so I don't know which video will be next. So until next time, take care from the Fire God Eye FS. Thank you for watching.